What's up, everyone? Welcome to Backlog and Beyond, the podcast where we talk about the old games we want to beat and the new ones we play instead. I'm your host, Jeff Zavatero.
And I'm your other host, Nathan Hawkins, and this is episode 6.
Yep. So, how you doing?
Welcome back.
Yep.
We're here again. Still here.
So we have some. It's not a very big week for gaming news. There was some stuff that went on, but
Yeah.
it's
It's funny. There was like a lot that happened, but not a lot that happened.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff on here, but not a lot to say.
Right.
Yeah. But I think we've both been playing the same game this week.
Yes.
What is that game?
Last of Us 2. I'm actually currently I just made it to Seattle Day 2 for those of you who are playing along. And I'm really enjoying the pacing of the story so far. We're not gonna go any spoilers, so don't worry about that. Gameplay, I believe, is still just as solid as the first. There's only one thing that I really wish that the game had, and that's a walk option, because I feel like when I'm actually trying to scavenge the rooms and stuff or the buildings, I feel like when I go to turn, it's like too abrupt or something. I start to get dizzy a little bit when I'm trying to like move around slowly. So I like to really slowly pushing the joystick. There's like almost a moment where I really wish I could switch my jog to walk, and then my run is just like a walk then a run, or like if you like hold down X, kind of like in Red Dead Redemption 2, you start to jog. But that's just me. I prefer the slower walking and looking at all the details and but because this game is graphically stunning, like the detail they've put into everything, just like I think I've spoken about this in the last episode, but the moss on the rocks and like the dirt on the cars, and just it's so much detail and love that they put into this game. And I really am taking the time to just kind of stare at like things. Like I'll look at posters on the wall, I'll look at like the bathroom stalls. Like I just look at these little things and I'm just really admired. It's just really admirable. So anyway,
yeah. Well, Friday morning at 5 a.m. I beat the game.
Congratulations.
I texted Nathan, I beat the game, and he said, "Oh, I just woke up to play."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good night then.
I'm not sure the best way to do it is to beat the game and then go to bed and then you just think about it.
Yeah, that sounds like you just kind of.
That's all I'm going to say about the ending. To your walking thing, I almost wish the opposite. There's a run button, which I hate where the run button is. But most of the time, it doesn't even make you go any faster, and it's extremely frustrating. And I don't like, sometimes you're not allowed to get ahead of someone, or sometimes a path will open up and you're not allowed to go before the person was designed to go. Like,
yeah, because of the cinematic or whatever.
This person has to go in there before you, and you're like stuck trying to get into an empty hole.
You're like, you're penalized for being faster.
And I'm like, pick up the pace.
Keep up with me.
We're on a time crunch.
Let's go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm only gonna say that I finished it. I'm not gonna say anything else about it.
So I'm planning to beat it before Ghost of Tsushima, which is in 20 days. So I have to really bust my butt.
There's like,
but yeah,
you're gonna think you're done, and you're not. That's all.
That's what
I'm
I keep hearing. I've actually been looking at because I'm part of like the IGN Game Scoop Facebook group, and this one guy said I got halfway through, and he said, and honestly, I just don't care anymore. And everyone's like, just keep pushing, and they said it's worth it. I'm like, okay. So it kind of sounds like where you were, where you hit this halfway point, and you're like, I don't know.
Honestly, I'm not gonna say anything else.
Yeah, no, but anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm not even going to tell you whether or not I liked the game, because I feel like that's going to influence
I agree.
How you feel about it.
I totally agree. I think we should have I think we'll have our spoiler cast, and whether it's...
Yeah, so for look for that in August when Nathan beats the game.
We're hoping for July. Sometime in July.
Hoping.
As long as my girls stay asleep.
Yeah, so that's the only game I had time to play besides Mad Max, obviously.
Oh, yes, me too.
But yeah, so I'm looking to start some new ones. Great. So that is all we've played so far.
Yep.
So next up, let's talk about the big news points that happened this week. We've had some game announcements. Crash Bandicoot 4, the leak was true. which was nice.
That was nice. It looks really good.
It does. I really like the art style and that it separates itself from the other 3 games. It was nice that the Insane Trilogy kept true to the style, but this one kind of feels like its own game, which is really nice.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm not really a huge fan. Like, I played a little bit of the trilogy. I played probably about, like, the first one I played maybe about 4 or 5 hours, and I enjoyed it, but honestly, like, it doesn't hold my attention like you know, these open world immersive, you know, realistic games. Like, that's just, it's just not my thing.
Which is funny because it's by the original one is still by the same company.
Right.
That made Last of Us 2.
Looks like, I will say this, it looks good. It does look good. It's probably not going to be a game that's going to be for me, but it does look like a lot of fun. And like you said, yeah, the art style definitely looks fresh, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I think this one's run by Activision now.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's not a Naughty Dog thing anymore. But it's going to come out in October on PlayStation and Xbox, and for now that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty bummed. I like playing the games on Switch, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm sure it'll get ported at some point.
Yep. I was planning on making this podcast very Pokemon centric because last week they announced Pokemon Cafe and Pokemon Snap, and they're like, "We have one more game for you next week." And then they announced Pokemon Unite. And the funny thing is, like, I was stewing about it, and my buddy goes, "Guys, guess what? I'm so excited. They announced a game that's League of Legends, but it's Pokemon." And I'm like, "Oh, no."
You're like, "That's cool. Oh, God."
And I'm like, "No, it's trash." And he goes, No, it's League of Legends." And I'm like, "I know.
It's what I said."
But I mean, MMORPGs are a big deal in China, and I think they're going to make a ton of money on this game.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I wanted to see.
Yeah, MOBAs are they're not my cup of tea either. I mean, granted, I did watch the gameplay. I watched the teams play against each other. It looks fun, but you have to remember, like, I barely have time to play with you, let alone a group of friends that actually have time to, like, collaborate with everybody at the same time and say, okay, let's all go play against another group of people and do this number of times, weekly or whatever. So I'm not a MOBA person because I just don't have the time. Like,
I am not. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably try it, but yeah, it takes way too much organization.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's strategy, and a lot of these games are, these all become super competitive, and they're brought to the highest level of, championships, and so I don't know.
Yeah. So that one's now for me.
Yep, same here.
Not my thing. They had the Marvel Avengers War Table, where they had the new story mode trailer, and who I believe is a brand new hero character.
Yes.
Is going to be who the story focuses on, so that's cool, I guess.
She's got like those stretchy arms.
Yeah. I know, right? They have an amazing cast. Like Troy Baker, who plays Joel, is in it, and I believe he's who is he? I forgot. Oh, no, he's Bruce Banner. He's Bruce Banner in Avengers. And Nolan North, who plays Nathan Drake, is Tony Stark. But if you watch the trailer, you're like, that's totally Nathan Drake when he talks.
Dude, like they were like, they pulled out the punches with these voice actors.
And like, yeah. There's hero missions and war zones where they have single player missions and then multiplayer missions. So it's not gonna be like a cohesive story based game at some parts, it looks like, which is pretty disappointing to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, oh, you could do this mission alone. You could do this mission with friends, kind of like Grand Theft Auto Online.
Right.
Which I guess is kind of in the style of Destiny. And I played that, and I did not like playing that.
Again, again, another game that you need to have friends with available at the ready to play with. Otherwise, it just gets boring.
Did it look like to you that you could play the whole game by yourself if you wanted to, though?
Yes, you can. You can. I was reading this the other day just to confirm, because I had told you, like, oh yeah, you can play the whole game co-op. I was like, wait, can you? And I looked it up, and you can. You can play the whole game by yourself, or you can play the whole game co-op.
Okay. I was gonna say the visuals reminded me of The Last of Us, and when I say that, I mean the first one, and when I say that, I mean the PlayStation 3 release.
There were times I agree with you. Like, yeah, it looks kind of janky. Like,
The fighting looks like trash. The graphics are like very simplistic. There's no nuance to the facial expressions.
Right.
Like I'm like, it looks like this is the end game cycle of the PlayStation 3, not the PlayStation 4.
I don't know. I got so hyped up for this game because I was like, oh, this could be really cool. Like playing like the Avengers with your friends, but like, you know, they made it seem like, oh, it's going to be like a Spider-Man game. Like this is nothing like Spider-Man. If this was like a completely open world where you could play all the Avengers, I'd be so down. But this is nothing like that.
We have so many, like we have those Batman games, we have the Spider-Man game, and then they're like, here's this. It's not quite Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, and it's not quite the Spider-Man game. It's, here you go.
Yeah, no, I feel like, because you remember the first fight in Avengers, remember the big fight in Avengers where they're taking out all those huge alien ships and they're all like fighting in different locations in the city. Can you imagine like how cool that would be if it was like you were playing in like, let's say like Los Santos, or let's say so it's like basically Grand Theft Auto 5's map, and you guys are just flying all over the map, and you're in different locations. You can see where everyone is kind of like on your map, but you guys are like completely different like places. There's cutscenes that are being taking place, and they're like completely epic, and you're like crashing through buildings, and that would be so cool. And this is not going to be that.
Nope, we have to wait another decade for something like that.
Yep, unfortunately.
Oh, I did hear though, Rocksteady's possibly going to make a Suicide Squad game called Kill the Justice League.
I saw that as well.
I would be down for. I hope that's multiplayer.
That'd be cool.
I don't understand why like the Batman games, like hopefully a future one you could have someone play as Robin or Nightwing or something like that.
Right.
I think those games would be dope in multiplayer.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of optional multiplayer. Like it would have been cool. I mean, maybe not Last of Us, but like if someone played in the original one, if someone plays as Joel and someone plays as Ellie, like that would have been fun.
See, I agree. I think that could have been really cool as an option to play the whole game with a friend, like because you still could have had the conversations, you know, like taking place.
Because like you still had them as Joel with Ellie.
You just could just be quiet, like okay, let's just stop talking, let's listen to their conversation, and then when there's like stuff going on, you can actually like communicate with each other and work together.
Yep. Otherwise, your NPC partner is pretty useless.
Yeah, it's true. Although I will say this, I feel like the NPC partner in Last of Us 2 pretty helpful. I've had a couple of times where I'm like, wow, nice job, thanks for the help.
Yeah, true. I'm not gonna say anything about that. Moving on to Animal Crossing, they have their first of at least 2 summer updates, which brings back the feature of diving underwater. That's exciting. I've kind of fallen off the map on that game.
Me too.
I don't know if that's going to be the thing that makes me pick it up again.
Well, what I've been hearing about Animal Crossing, it's like the new video game email. We just kind of get up and get online to check it, and you like do a couple things, and you like get it back off. It's like that's kind of what Animal Crossing is to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't had time to play like at least in over a month. What I thought was funny though about their summer updates, if you noticed, they posted their June update like on the 21st of June. I was like, wait, so we're getting June updates at the end of June? Like, what happened to the rest of the month?
Yeah.
It's like a little late, aren't you?
Yeah. At least it's like constant free stuff, which is nice, but like...
Totally.
It's a very like check in and check out game.
It is.
I have friends that really get into their island, and I'm like, well, I just got, the clothing shop.
I think I still have my what's the community center? What's the main building called again?
I think it's a community center.
Mine's still a tent, so...
Oh, wow,
man. There's that.
Somehow I passed you.
Yeah, I mean, surprise. Yeah. Yesterday I beat Last of Us 2 in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but I probably have put less hours into Animal Crossing than I did in The Last of Us.
That's true.
I beat that in 21 hours. I've probably put like 10, 15 maximum in
Animal Crossing is a slow grind at the beginning.
Yeah. Actually, it's a permanent slow grind.
That's true.
It doesn't pick up. There's no story. You just pick your favorite islanders and favorite shops, and then organize them.
Although I hear it does pick up kind of when you actually able to reconstruct everything, like lay down paths and completely change.
It's still like tedious,
right?
Like I'm watching what my buddy did, and it's still one of those games where it's like 100% your imagination. You're like, this is a park, but it doesn't like nothing functions.
Right.
It's just like. It looks like a park, so it's a park.
Right. Yeah. That's Animal Crossing for you.
Yeah. So it's great. My wife loves it, and we can play together. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, they have a new character, Min Min from ARMS, which is cool, I guess. But they have a new Fallout Me character, so possibly people are hoping that means the Fallout games, namely 3 in New Vegas, would come to the Switch.
That I would love like New Vegas on the Switch.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think that game would look better on the Switch.
Yeah, I haven't beaten. I've beaten 3. I have not gotten far into New Vegas. So if they did like a remaster for the Switch, I'd be super down.
I think if any of the Fallouts that you actually need to finish, I would definitely say New Vegas because of how much those choices matter. Like, so.
Choices matter. That sounds like an interesting thing to talk about.
Huh.
Moving on to the CD Projekt Red live stream. They had a big video for Cyberpunk 2077.
That one game that
I didn't write down the name of the game because it's like, what other game is it gonna be?
Yeah, what else are they playing?
So what were your thoughts?
Well, it's funny because I actually have not been able to watch the gameplay footage, unfortunately. However, I am extremely excited for what I've actually watched in the recap video. They were talking about like origin stories. Like you can actually start out in a completely different part of town based on the type of character you are. And this completely reminds me of Origins. Dragon Age Origins, where you actually could play different races, and based on the race you picked, the storyline was completely different, and you had an entirely different outlook on where your character came from. And I absolutely loved that feature about Dragon Age. That was like one of my favorite things. Like I remember playing Dragon Age to the point of where I would finish the main storyline for that character, and once I got to like the big area, I was like, all right, I'm bored. But it was so intriguing having these different storylines start you out, because the replayability was insane. So I'm just really hoping that with these different origins that can alter your play style, and the fact that like that your race will actually decide the conversations that can take place. I'm really hoping that they take a Fallout New Vegas route with it, where the conversations are so drastically different depending on what you say. I'm just really hoping that's what it is, and just a more in-depth version of Fallout New Vegas RPG style, like that kind of quest
line. It looked
line.
like there would be special like conversation choices unlocked with each of the origin style, and then how they would react would kind of be determined if you answered in character. So that, like, there was a right way and a wrong way to answer. Like, it's like permanent quizzes.
Right. They reward you for playing the way that you've chosen to play, essentially, from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, like, if you want to
so you had to fit the mold. You're not your own character. You have to fit the mold that you've chosen.
I'm hoping that's not like, it's not exactly like that. I'm hoping they just kind of reward you more for playing closer to your play style. But it does seem like if you actually upgrade your character enough, let's say if you actually are you're intentionally like more passive, like you're actually using your speech and your charisma. Let's say if you've upgraded your character's abilities for shooting and defense, that you could become aggressive instead of playing the way your character would normally play.
Yeah.
However, it seems like in the very beginning when you start to play, that if you try to be aggressive when your character is not, that's going to get you in more trouble because you're a weaker character to begin with. All your stats are focused on your charisma, personality, all that stuff. So I'm really hoping it's not like you're set in a certain way to play, otherwise you just fail. Other than that, it's more or less, this is how it's going to be easier for you if you play this way, because this is the kind of character you've chosen to play versus, the other option.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's a very uphill climb for me to want to get this game. Like,
right
after how long we've already had to wait, and then I understand delays, but I 8 years from announcement to release. Like, and then I watched the Xbox walkthrough, and I was like shocked. No, there's fireworks. I hate this thing.
I was like, what was that?
Oh my god. That's what happens when you live next to a trailer park.
We need to keep this on the podcast.
But like that, if this was supposed to be like highlight reel footage with all of the lags and the like 15 frames per second frame rate that we were getting in the walkthrough, like if this is the like what we're getting and that's the highlights, I don't know, man.
Well, don't worry about it because I'm gonna buy it, so you can play it for free.
Okay, good, because this is not one where I want to split it. I'm like, I don't want to give money to this game. Not right now. Like,
and then brain dancing thing also, dude, that looks awesome. Come on.
I wrote down brain dance looks cool. I like as a concept, that's a really cool concept. I don't know how important it is going to be to the game, but like, I just want that for real life.
Right. Apparently, it's going to actually matter. Oh, is that a? Can you hear that dog?
Oh, I can hear that dog.
Yeah, it's
My fireworks made your dog bark. Like I was like, why are they showing? The guy was talking excitedly over lagging footage, and I'm like, it felt like a hostage video, and the guy's like, "This game's great, look." I think the design is great. Like I really love the aesthetic. It's a style that I've always been in love with, but it's gonna take a lot for me to get behind this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think what's nice about the game is that it looks like they actually have a lot of intention behind a lot of their decisions, and I feel like that's gonna make for a really good story, regardless of some gameplay issues. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, there's so many features that are really calling to my name right now. Specifically, the fact that you can make such different decisions, and that they can completely impact how you go about each mission individually. I think that is what's really drawing me to this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think games do need a lot more features where your choices do create the impact that makes a difference in the story, but we're going to get more on that later. Why don't we take a break before our next segment and play some video game taboo? So I think this time I'll go first.
Okay. Cool.
To you.
Okay.
And then, okay, so are you ready?
I have the timer.
All right, ready, set, go. First game you challenged me to play last week, or this week.
Mad Max?
Great. Awesome. This one's another story-based game where you could rewind time and your choices impact the story like a Telltale game.
Oh, Life is Strange.
Yep. This one, his brother's name is Luigi.
Mario?
Yeah, so it's one of those. It's one for Nintendo Entertainment System.
Mario, Super Mario Odyssey?
Yeah, Super Mario. No, like the original Nintendo.
Oh, Super Mario?
Yeah. This one, instead of day in the forest, it's
Night in the Woods.
Yep. Okay. This one, you're making food and you made it too much. It's like a cooking game where you can play with your partner.
Overcooked.
Yep. This one is a game by Steam. Everyone's waiting for the third one, but this was the first one.
Oh, for the third one.
It's not Portal. It's Portal
2.
You cut something in. You cut something in 2. You've cut it in.
Oh, Half-Life. Half-Life 3.
Yeah, it's Half-Life. Okay.
Half-Life. Okay. Half-Life.
The next one, this series, you kill people. You like the first one a lot.
Red Dead.
This no.
Grand Theft Auto?
No, you have missions to kill people throughout history.
Oh, Hitman, Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, but this one was set in the UK.
Assassin's Creed 3, 4,
no,
5. Assassin's Creed. Dang it!
Is that it?
Up. Yeah.
It was Syndicate.
What's it called? So Assassin's Creed 2. Wait, the second one?
Syndicate.
Oh, Syndicate. Dang it.
So you got
I couldn't come
1,
up with a
2,
name.
3, 4, 5, 6, and then you didn't come up with that, and then I wasn't sure how I was going to do Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh, Andromeda. That's a tough one. Andromeda, yeah. All right. Well, that's not bad. It's probably my best, actually.
6 is pretty good.
All right. Okay. Okay. You ready for this?
I think I'm ready.
All right. Let's hope this connection sticks. Here we go.
Okay.
And away we go. All right. Not unite
together.
But it's sorry. No, it's the one that just came out. It's a MOBA. Unite. Something Unite.
Pokemon Unite. Pokemon. Okay,
but this is the one that you play when you're outside.
Pokemon Go.
Yes. This is a first-person shooter where you play with a bunch of other people. They have different abilities. Some people have. It's like Heroes, like a hero shooter. It's one that you were considering getting. It's not. It's like Underlook. But
Undertale.
So what's the opposite of Under?
Overwatch.
Yeah. All right. I had you play the Primal one.
Far Cry.
And not the first or
Far
second.
Far Cry, New Dawn 3, Far Cry 3.
You got it, yeah. Sean!
Heavy Rain.
Yep. Okay, the one you just said, it's Andromeda, but it's not Andromeda.
Mass Effect 3.
Yes. It's the one that the first game you told me to play, and you just said it a minute ago.
Final Fantasy 7.
No, no, sorry, it was the second one.
I said it a minute ago.
The skeletons are in it. The 2 skeletons.
Oh, Undertale.
Yes. Okay. This takes place with a woman and a little boy with a bunch of rats. It's like kind of like a pandemic, but it's not. It's like an illness or a sickness.
A little boy with a bunch of
shoot, you actually tried to describe this one last time. Okay, I'm gonna skip it. Okay. What's when you can't see? What are you?
Blind.
Yes. And instead of woods,
forest.
That's time. Damn
the forest was it the last one?
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Oh yeah, I would never would have gotten.
Yeah,
that
I should have also said like Xbox exclusive. And
what was the one with the boy and the girl?
A Plague Tale Innocence.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one.
Yeah, it's the one with the mother's trying to get her son, I think, out of the city or something because there's like a plague and there's a bunch of rats and stuff.
So 6 each.
That's 12.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, but we've gotten a lot of repeats.
Yeah. No, it's true. There's a lot of repeats on these random video games.
I literally almost said Pokemon Go out of the bat because you forgot to say it last time.
Yeah.
So I was going to be like, Pokemon Go.
Well, then the funny thing is, as I said in Away We Go, I was like, damn it. Good times.
Is it cheating where, like, for Night in the Woods, I said Day in the Forest? I said
no.
But I said in the...
I don't know. That's maybe.
Those are like very common words.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably like borderline cheating because you're saying in and the. Yeah. It's part of the title. If I would have said and the site woods, because that would have told you it's Ori and the,
Yeah.
All right.
We did okay.
We did all right.
So, given the news of Cyberpunk 2077 and the choices that could impact the story, we thought we would focus today on games that give you choice. So these are actually not as common as you would think, given video games give you freedom to play the character.
Right.
But I think choice is what separates film from video games in the largest way. You have games that play out like a movie, like The Last of Us, but you also have games where your voice seemingly makes a difference. Like big ones are Undertale, Fallout New Vegas, Fable, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, the Telltale games, Dishonored, The Witcher 3. Nathan, what are some games where you're given choices as the main character that you really enjoy to play?
I would say pretty much Until Dawn, Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human, Alpha Protocol, all those games, the Outer Worlds, those are also very choice-based games where, your decisions can determine whether somebody lives or somebody dies. It can actually determine the entire outcome of the game. Like, for instance, Fallout New Vegas, I won't spoil anything for you because it's amazing, but literally you can side with everyone or no one. It's that like drastic of a choice.
Yeah.
And the endings are completely different. Like there's nothing similar about any of the endings. So you actually feel like your decisions are really changing the outcome of the game. Because you kind of have to stick with those choices throughout. You can't just make one last decision at the end, kind of like Fallout 4. Spoilers for Fallout 4. You can't just decide, oh, I want to side with, the rebellion, or I want to side with my supposed father, and destroy all of humankind, kind of thing, like start over. Whereas in Fallout New Vegas, you have to make these choices from beginning to end, and that'll determine who you're siding with, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like Fallout 4, it's just kind of like last minute. All right, that's regardless of all the decisions I've made in the entire game, it doesn't matter because it's going to come down to this one decision, how the game ends.
Yeah, and I think that's how a lot of games do it when they say that you have a choice, which
right,
is very unfortunate. Like, the games I put Red Dead Redemption, but in terms of story, you could choose how you want to play, which I think a lot of games do instead of making your choices matter. They're like, how do you want to come across it?
Right.
Red Dead Redemption, you could play the entire game as good, or you could play the game as evil, and there were different endings, but ultimately it came down to the same thing. And I'm talking about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes, I figured that.
Like, I was very frustrated. Like, no matter how much you bring into the camp or how much you don't bring into camp, people generally treat you the same. Like, I donated $200 to the camp, and then the next time I showed up, they're like, "You haven't given anything recently. What's wrong with you?" And I'm like,
"Yeah, no,
you gave a bottle."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you look in the book, actually, it shows that you put like a deer leg in there or something. It was like a bone. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you have no right to talk. But yeah, you would get like these one-off, like, oh, you've been really helping out a lot, Arthur, and that's it. And that's all you'll get from that, making those decisions.
Yep. And then you have like Bill Williamson at camp, and I spent like the entire game treating him with nothing but kindness. But at the end, he's like, "You're an awful person, and you've always treated me like trash." And I'm
like, although I've heard if you actually antagonize everyone at the camp constantly, eventually someone will actually beat you up and knock you out.
Which is great, but at the end of the game, if you end up beating, like, okay, spoilers for Red Dead 2, if you spend the whole game beating up John Marsden and like you guys fight and he kicks your butt, like at the end of the game, you're still buddies. He's still like
your little brother. It's so true. And that's what's kind of upsetting about all these games. Like, yeah, like, because you're right, they do give you options. Like, okay, you can play this game stealthily, you can just go guns blazing, like all of the Far Cry games, basically. But at the end of the day, in Far Cry, it doesn't matter how you play the game. It's gonna have the same ending, the same storyline. It's just really the order of how things happen.
It's like sometimes it gives you the choice to play a certain way, but it doesn't make sense with your character. Like you could play. Like, the story of Red Dead Redemption 2 is like the redemption of Arthur, and like you can be a horrible murderer throughout the game, but like the theme is he's trying to do the right thing.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, I just want to do the right thing, and then I go shoot a guy in the store because I don't want to buy hair gel.
Give me that pomade.
That's right, boy. Another game I put on here was The Walking Dead. Like, you constantly make dialogue choices which do alter how characters treat you, but ultimately it ends the same. Like, spoilers for that game, whether or not you chop off Lee's arm, he's gonna die.
Right.
Whether you save Doug or Carly, there's gonna be a couple of dialogue choices, but then the other one dies anyway.
Right. Although I think that game was one of the ones that actually did the cool thing where, if depending on your decisions from the last game, they actually carried over to the second game, and that actually was based on how they treated you in the second game, which I thought was actually a really cool, like really clever, but still.
Who carried over to the second game besides Clementine, and then spoilers, Kenny?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was.
And then no matter how poorly you treated Kenny, he was happy to see you.
That is true.
He did say, he might have said like Lee was a great man or Lee was a jerk.
Right.
But ultimately it didn't make a difference in the story.
Yeah. His feelings, that's the thing. The feelings did not equal action.
Yeah. Did you beat number 2?
I did.
Okay, yeah, like I really enjoyed 2 had many different endings. Like
Yes.
or sorry, 4. Like I think it had 4 endings, and they were all good. But then 3 starts in the same spot no matter what.
Yeah.
Like a character lives or dies based on those actions, but you
Right.
still end up where you end up.
Right. No, yeah, I don't know.
So it's kind of like in games like that, it's kind of like an illusion.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. They make you think that you're making these choices, but really it's just a guided experience. Kind of like, Last of Us Part 2. Like you actually, it's interesting how they can actually make a narrative make it feel like you actually are making these decisions, like you are like ending someone's life. But ultimately, it was going to happen regardless. It's just they've made you feel a certain way about it, so therefore you feel like, whoa, I did that.
Yeah.
But really you didn't.
It's like a headcanon.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, my Ellie didn't kill anyone. Like, for example, I chose not to kill any dogs in the game.
I've actually avoided people. I think there's like one situation where I was on top of a roof and I had to like hide under a vent or something, and then they just walked right past me and I kind of let them go. I was like, I'm not gonna deal with this. There's like they're kind of like too spread out to like try to like take them out individually. I was like, I'm better off just waiting until they walk away and then sneak away.
There were many encounters where I didn't kill anyone either because I was successfully stealthy, or I ran through the entire level,
right,
and I was able to get through,
right.
which did happen a few times, which is pretty cool that I can do. And I'm like, there's too many. I've died 6 times. I just want to get through this.
But it's funny because we're talking about like, these decisions that we're making. Like I'd mentioned Heavy Rain, Until Dawn, Detroit Become Human.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit Become Human, I think, was the only one out of those 3 games that actually had different endings. I want to say, like I feel like
any
Heavy
character
Rain had like a couple different ones, but ultimately it came down to the same confrontation at the end.
Yes, like Detroit Become Human. Like I liked that in select scenes, characters could die and the story would continue without them.
Yes,
which was cool, but there was no way you were going to stop that war. Like none of the choices you could have made would have altered the ending in a meaningful way.
Right.
So there's a limit.
Yes. And which makes sense. I mean, you can, as a game designer, I'm sure you have limits. You can only do so much do so much within a certain amount of time. And there's so few games that have these drastically different endings. And from what I've heard about the Outer Worlds, I've heard it's very similar to Fallout New Vegas. Ironically, it's the same company. Of course, it's Obsidian, where their actual endings are so drastically different that I feel like they're a rarity in the industry.
Yeah. And I hope more games do adapt that, because like sometimes when I rewatch a movie, like I find myself begging the character to make a different choice. Like I was like, what would happen if this character just made this slight different decision? How would it alter the rest of the story? And video games are a medium where you can do that sometimes. But sometimes it's important to the story they're trying to tell. Like if you look at The Last of Us 1, if they gave me the choice to lie to Ellie at the end of the game or tell the truth,
oh man,
like the point of the game is the lie. Like that's the story they were trying to tell.
Right.
And so sometimes it is important to the vision that they keep it that way.
Right.
But then there are games like Red Dead Redemption 2 where it's like, Red Dead Redemption 1, I should say. Like, what if there was a way that I can kill all those people as Sean Marsden and survive the barn?
Yeah, what if I didn't walk out the barn? What if I actually figured out a way to distract them differently other than was just stepping out in the open and getting shot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of these games, they say that they have choice, like, oh yeah, we give player choice, but ultimately I think what a lot of these companies should be focusing on is not choice. If they're not really going to give you the choice ultimately, they should be focusing on what's the best choice for the story we want to tell, and not push the player choice on us saying, oh, we have player choice. It's like, don't sell that if you want to tell your story a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the outcome is completely drastically different, I don't think that they should be pushing this concept of, oh, you can make choices. It's like, don't even mention it.
Yeah. As much as I wish there were, like, all games could, where you have that choice either way, I wouldn't give up the experience of Last of Us for anything. Like, I don't, maybe I would like it as like they're going to make an HBO series.
And like, dropped again. Oh, I got you.
Okay.
We're back.
Like The Last of Us, what if they made it, a series in the first place? Would it feel like it has more of a home there? Because the gameplay's good.
Right.
But did I have to, why did they feel it was a story better experienced as a video game?
Right.
Rather than like a TV show or a movie.
Which they are making the HBO series.
I know, yeah. So... And it's so that story can reach like a whole new level of people that it wasn't able to hit before.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're gonna do or how they're gonna do it. If they're gonna like tap into like their storyline with other people's storylines, or if they're just gonna retell the game in a show form.
I hope they retell the game in a show form. That's what
I hope for it too.
To me, that's like it's the equivalent of making a book into a movie, like, or a book into a TV show. They could be taking this video game and making it into a TV show for people to experience who didn't necessarily experience it the other way.
Yeah, but what's funny is the fact that HBO, they're a long run series and they can do 8 hours, Like if they do like 8 episodes, it's 8 hours. This game was 12 hours, right? 12 to 15 hours storyline if you really took your time. So ultimately, they're going to have to add some stuff to this somehow. Unless like the 3 hours that they're not going to be including was actually moments where you were just kind of walking around and scavenging, like I'm really wondering if there actually was 8 hours of straight just content,
They've also done like 6 to 8 episodes of miniseries, like 6 hours total. And like, if you cut out all of the dying and all of the exploring and keep it to the story, I think they can get that game down to 6 to 8 hours and
easily
have it be like a competent story to leave it there. Like,
I wonder if they'll dip into Left Behind at all in the show.
If they intertwined it, that would be dope, but I wouldn't want it as like a separate story.
Yeah, if they could intertwine it somehow, like as like flashbacks back and forth somehow, that'd be really cool.
So yeah. So anyway, I think there are stories where it like they're clearly trying to tell you something,
right?
And clearly trying to convey a message,
right?
But I really hope we get to a point in technology where in these choice-based like RPG games, your choice matters, right? And you make a difference, and it's not, no matter what deviations you take, you're gonna get to this point. Like that,
right?
That to me, there's no point. Like you gave me the illusion of choice, but I ended up the same way.
Yeah, and I never finished Fallout. I never finished The Witcher 3, but it's the same company, CD Projekt Red. But if Witcher 3 had a specific ending, then obviously I'm sure of it that Cyberpunk will have the same kind of outcome.
Yeah,
I'm kind of hoping not. I'm hoping that they took a leap of faith and said, you know what, let's give them completely different endings. We've given them completely different origin stories. Let's reward them with different endings.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that's the case.
And I'm hoping it's not just 3 perspectives of telling the same story.
Right.
That's my biggest fear for when they say it's a drastically different game. Like,
right.
We're going to end up being the same part in the end.
Yeah, it's the same scenario, just maybe, it plays out differently, but it's ultimately the same confrontation.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I'm excited for it, to be honest, but I am going to definitely be waiting for the PlayStation 5 upgrade, because I don't want to have to play it on my PlayStation 4 for like a month, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's really funny, which was interesting. They were saying that if CD Projekt was able to push their game to November, they're saying that there's the possibility that we actually won't see consoles till after November. Or CD Projekt doesn't care and they're just like, whatever, we're just going to still release it after the new consoles release.
Yeah, I honestly don't think it'll make a difference, and they might release it simultaneously.
Yeah, they could do that too.
If the consoles are out. Like, there's that window when the new consoles come out that they are still releasing games for the previous generation.
It's true.
And I think with the delay, I don't think they have a say in it, and I don't think the consoles would wait for it.
No.
But November's a great time to release a console because everyone's trying to get like the perfect Christmas present anyway.
And that's what everyone's thinking. It's like, well, yeah, if they say holiday and they're like November. So it's going to be one of those things where either they don't care that it's coming out the same time as their release, or they're aware that they have until late November or early December to get this game out before the consoles drop.
Yeah, but like I think if it wasn't like, I don't think a month is a worthwhile. If it's only if it's at the same time or the console releases in December, I'm not gonna buy it in November when I could just buy the upgraded version later.
Right, I agree.
All right. Well, let's jump in. Move on to our retrospect. I gotta get better at segues, man. Like I can't. I can't end the conversation. I'm just like, so anyway, retrospect.
Yeah. Oh man. All right.
This is the worst week in gaming history for the past 5 years, or increments of 5 years. I was like, oh, some of these are exciting, but they were like 12 years ago. Not right. These.
So did you want to list the games, or did you want me to just go through them with the special information?
I'm gonna list the games. It sounds like you have your own list of a couple of them that you have some facts about, but I'm gonna list everything that was told to me.
Okay, great.
5 years ago, June 30th, 2015, you had Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth V Generation for the PlayStation Vita, and J-Star's Victory VS Plus. 10 years ago, July 5th, 2010, you had Despicable Me the game and Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 Portable for the PSP and SteamWorld Tower Defense for the DS. And then 10 years ago, July 6th, 2010, you had Flash Coma. I don't know what that's for. The Xbox 360 had Crackdown 2. PlayStation 2 had Despicable Me the game. They still released that game even though games came out on PlayStation 3 the same day. Then you had some DLC for Monkey Island 2 and Dragon Age Origins. So,
okay. Yep. All right. So I decided to pick. I decided to pick like one of each week or one of each day, basically. So 5 years ago, June 30th, 2015, Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 3 V Generation on the PlayStation Vita. Just so you're aware of what the game's about. It's an action role-playing game developed and published by Idea Factory with the assistance of Compile Heart. It is the third installment in the Hyperdimension Neptunia franchise. Granted, I'm just... Keep in mind, I'm reading this from Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. This isn't me talking. Set in the year 1989, the story takes place after Hyperdimension Neptunia MK2 in an alternate dimension to Gamindustry, bringing more insight to the console war story arc. The game was released in Japan on August 2012. In Japan. And in North America, Europe, and Korea in 2013. 2013?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's weird. Okay. Here's a fun fact. I have a couple. The Japanese version has an additional DLC party member named Compile. She is named after Compile Heart's precursor company, famous in Japan for creating the Puyo Puyo series. Most likely due to licensing issues, since parts of Compile were sold to Sega, she was never made available in the North American and European versions of Victory. Another fun fact, a character named Plutia is named after an unreleased Sega console, in this case, the Sega Pluto, a modified Sega Saturn with a built-in Netlink modem. God, Netlink modems. The Pluto's existence was never known until internet posts, starting in April 2013 by a former Sega employee, showed off the very few prototypes that exist, despite being named after the Pluto. Her design is based around that of the Sega Genesis. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that one's more interesting than the first one for sure.
Yeah, I agree. All right. 10 years ago, July 5th, 2010, SteamWorld Tower Defense on the DS. Tower Defense is a video game by Swedish video game developer Image & Form. It was released digitally on Nintendo DSi in North America, Europe, and Australia on July 5th, 2010. And it is the first game released in the SteamWorld series. On their YouTube channel, Image & Form revealed that SteamWorld Tower Defense is the hardest game the studio has created. Apparently, the game's lead developer is the only of Image & Form employees to finish the game. There you
Cool.
go. Yeah. Guess it was really hard. 10 years ago, July 6, 2010, Crackdown 2 for the Xbox 360. Crackdown 2 is an open-world action-adventure video game developed by Ruffian Games and published by Microsoft Game Studios. It was released on Xbox 360 in July 2010 and is a direct sequel to the 2007 video game Crackdown. Duh. A sequel, Crackdown 3, was released for Xbox One and Microsoft Windows in February 2019. Great. Didn't do so well. In the Xbox Live Arcade release of Rareware's Perfect Dark, an agent can be unlocked as a playable multiplayer character by having a Crackdown 2 save file on your hard drive. This agent is known as Agent 4. So, I thought that was weird. If you have a save file of Crackdown 2, you unlock an agent in a different game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, so yeah, nothing crazy cool, but I think I'm actually enjoying this segment just because I'm learning about these games I'd never heard about, and some of this stuff's actually pretty interesting.
Some of it, yeah. But like a lot of these are really hard to find something interesting about. Like,
yeah, I mean, really, a lot of this is Wikipedia, and there are a couple of like fan sites or like fan articles that have like random trivia. Yeah, so that's kind of where I get this stuff.
Got it. I'm really thankful for Game Facts. This day in gaming history. That's where I got a lot of my games this time because my normal source, because I'm like, major gaming anniversaries 2020, and like this week had nothing.
Well, yeah, I remember like I think when I was looking for like anything pre 2010, there was like nothing released in July, like nothing. I was like, I think it was actually earlier than that. It was like I think it was like after 2000 or after 1990, nothing was released in July. I was like, well, that's great. That makes our job easy.
Summer is tough because that's when all the games get announced,
right?
And unless you release it like immediately, like it's hard for your game to get attention with all the hype for new games.
Right. People were getting their games before summer so they could play them during summer.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway.
Cool. Well,
retrospect.
Retrospect. So anyway, and
I'm glad I use sound effects as our transitions.
Yeah, I think you should just make a new sound effects and it just be saying so
anyway. I'll just take your soundbite and use it from now on.
Like, especially when you should use it when you get lags in our communication and you need to do a time jump.
Yeah, right.
So I'll be like mid sentence and then you'll hear so anyway.
Use the Mario going down the tunnel.
That is not the sound you made.
No.
Okay,
that's not it. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds better. So our last segment is Give It an Hour, where we challenge each other to play games either that one of us enjoyed, we feel like the other should experience, or sometimes we both go into a game we've never played together and talk about it the next week. Last week, you gave me the game Mad Max, and I gave you the game Jack and Daxter. Would you like to go first?
Sure, because based on the text you sent me, I could tell you really loved it. Yeah, I'll go first. That's fine.
Okay. Oh no, that text was about Last of Us 2.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Because actually, I just played Mad Max today.
Oh, all right. Well, this is gonna be exciting. I'm curious to hear your opinion. All right, Jack and Daxter. I guess the only one I could find on your PlayStation list was the Precursor Legacy, which I think that was.
Yeah, that's the initial game. Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's the one I played. So gameplay was fun. Super simple to get the hang of. It was really enjoyable. Like, it was satisfying. Like,
yes.
You jump on stuff, it would get killed, and it was like one hit kills. Like, okay, this is fun.
Yeah.
It was all some little platforming here and there. That was fun. Design is very PS2. I was like, whoa, this takes me back. Yeah, it was like triangles and like sharp edges. I was like, this is very PS2. But I was enjoying it because I was like, oh, this kind of takes me back. Daxter is hilarious. Like those stupid poses they do each time they get a power cell.
I forgot about how funny that was.
Oh man, like him flexing and then like getting up close to the camera and smiling and his teeth like shining, and that was some stupid stuff. That
sense alone makes me want to play the game again because I haven't played it since it got remastered for PlayStation 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, keep going.
No, it was anyway. I loved that. It was fun. Like even the characters that you come across, like in the little houses and stuff and the huts, they were kind of funny. They were very quirky.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't realize it was also a Naughty Dog game. I was like, whoa, Naughty Dog. I was like, okay, totally didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far. I got 9 power cells.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was decent for an hour.
Yeah.
Because literally I had to like play a half an hour the first day, and then the second day I played for like 20 to 30 minutes because it was like I was like just dying to play Last of Us Part 2.
I know, right? This was a tough game to play, tough week to play anything else.
I know. I was like, okay, fine, I'll just get through. Let's just do 20 minutes. Let's just knock it out. But here's the issue I had with it. The inverted camera, I was immediately ready to like just call it and be like, I am not playing this. I am not playing this. This is stupid. I was like, I want to look right and it's making me look left. I was like, why? What is this? Apparently you can actually fix it. I just found out by reading an article today. I guess you have to go to the graphics menu and then like push some weird like combination of buttons. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that is stupid. But yeah, I mean, if I can figure it out, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna add this to my backlog just because it seems like a simple enough story to where I kind of figure I can kind of have an idea of where the story will go, and like it's fun, but it's not like my kind of game really.
Mm-hmm.
But I can appreciate the game and I can see why people loved it so much because it's very it's very like late 90s, early 2000s platformer, and they were pretty much for the most part all really good. But yeah, man, that inverted camera, I was ready to like just like yeet my controller. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
That's fair.
So I was close.
What if they did a ground up remaster like the Crash Bandicoot trilogy?
I think I could get behind it. I think if the graphics were kind of holding me back a little bit. But I honestly, I think I would actually give it a shot if they did like a remaster or I would say a remake, an entire remake, or even a brand new one. If they made a brand new Jak and Daxter, I might pick that one up, or at least play it if you bought it.
Yeah. See, the second and third one are completely different from the first one. Like something happens and it like Jak becomes like this dark character. Oh, wow. And it's completely jarring from the first game. So I really enjoyed the first one, but I couldn't beat the other two because Daxter is the same and he's hilarious. And I know you have experience with Daxter because of the game Pain that we used to play for the PlayStation 3. Right. He was in that, and so you already knew his brand of humor. But the tone of the game switched in the second and third one, so if I think they released a fourth one, it would be so jarring for you.
Oh, I'm sure it would. But honestly, like, all I can tell you right now is I know what happens. Like, I know what happens at the end of this one. Okay. Daxter does not get healed.
Yeah.
He does not get cured. I mean,
Nathan's like, see, you spoiled a game for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious they made more, and he's still a little squirrel, like furry dude. Yeah. So clearly, when they went back to that island, it didn't work, and he stayed a little furry dude. So
because that's the moneymaker. You can't have his sidekick be like a normal kid.
No, that'd be stupid.
Because I think as a kid, Daxter's dumb.
Like, oh yeah,
even with the same attitude.
Yeah, I was like, ugh. And I actually liked him better as an animal.
Yeah.
Go figure. Anyway, so I will not be adding this to my backlog, but I did enjoy it.
That's good. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I did not like Mad Max. I started taking notes as I was playing it first, but then it became too much. But first thing I wrote was creative way to have your character start from scratch is they took his car, stripped him naked, and took all of his weapons.
Yeah.
So I thought that was clever. The guy can kill Max all he wants, but screw the guy for trying to kill the dog.
Right.
Because he's like, kill Max, and then he does it, and the guy's like, stupid dog, and he throws him off the car. And I'm like, oh my god. And then you chainsaw the dude in the head, and he's still alive. But you do get to keep the dog, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I wish that first scene was like a tutorial mission where you still got to play and that would have been a good opportunity to get used to some of the controls.
Yeah.
But instead it was just this really long cutscene, and then you finally get control and it's like, okay, go get some water. okay, good. Here's a cutscene. And I was like, are you kidding? And also, who made R2 sprint? Like, they made R2 sprint, they made L2 jump, they made L1 to aim your gun and then circle to shoot it. Like, these are the most unintuitive controls I've ever seen in my life. And then I went to controls to see if I could change it, and the only thing you could change is switch R1 and circle. So now R1 is shoot and circle is evade, which is a little better.
Okay, fair enough.
But even then, I still kept messing. I would try to run and I would jump, and then like coming from Last of Us, where L1 was run, right. And then I would hold it and it would be like quick shot, and I'm like, no.
That is so funny.
I then wrote, does one guy play every bad guy? Because I finally got to kill somebody, but it sounded like he was still talking, and it turned out it was just the next guy. So that was a little bit funny, but a little bit lazy. I really liked the combat. The punches didn't feel like they had a lot of weight, but you were right. It was very Batman-esque in the fighting style, which I liked. Like, sometimes they're really good at the vibration feedback in games where you could feel the punch, but this one just felt a little bit shallow. Okay. It was very like night and day when you got in the car. You're like, oh, this is how you're supposed to play the game. Right. Because like it was like, here's how you sprint, and literally you don't even move faster. It just looks like he's trying harder to get up that hill.
No, man, the cars in that game was like, I think one of my favorite things.
Yeah. I got a notification. It's like, you got binoculars. Press start to look at the bio for your binoculars. And I'm like, what? Why? And you look it up and like, these are Max's.
I don't want to read the bio.
These are Max's binoculars. They're very vital in your missions. And I'm like, why does that get its own entry?
Man.
You get in the car and you're driving in a dune buggy, and I saw a ramp, and I'm like, oh, I'm going off that ramp. And I turn around and I get enough speed and I jump the ramp, and it was like this little hop. And I landed and fireworks exploded, and I'm like, it was so disappointing.
Oh man.
I really like fuel as a resource.
Yep.
I like that you have to stop to pick it up.
Yep.
I was very frustrated and thrown off when you're doing the missions where you're picking up the fuel can and putting it in your car, and just putting it in your car. It cut to a cutscene of you putting it in the car, and then it cut back to you after it was over. It's like it felt like the gameplay was very disjointed. Like when you were doing an action that required precise drop, it stopped the whole game to show you this mini cutscene of it happening, and then it put you back in the action.
That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way.
And I think it might have been a sign of the times and like their technical like fall shortcomings.
That's probably what it was, to be honest. It was probably loading. Like, it was their loading screen essentially. It
was too jarring every time it happened.
Gotcha.
I really enjoyed the car combat. I really enjoyed the art style. Like, the graphics obviously don't hold up, but they have a very distinctive style with the color and the sky and the landscape, and I thought it was beautiful. But like the gameplay, especially the controls, were so awful for me.
I don't remember that at all about that game. That's what's so funny. I just remember like the feeling that I got when playing the game, not the actual controls.
And like honestly, like Max's voice is awful. Like he sounds like Chris Hemsworth putting on a fake Australian accent, even though he's Australian.
Oh my god.
And it really it didn't. I mean, I've seen the new Mad Max only, and it felt like a completely different character. You get to Quasimodo, and he's like, "Oh, I could fix your car," in the dog, and Mad Max is like, "Fix the car first." This poor dog is just being lugged around after being thrown off of a. So, I had fun driving, and I honestly might pick it up again just to drive around a bit, but I will not beat this game.
All right,
it is not. I can't put it on my backlog.
Okay. Well, it looks like it came down to us hating the controls of the games.
Yours was literally just the camera, and you're like, I'm done.
Yeah. You're like circle R1, R2, R3, the joysticks, and my
I like. If I could have customized the controls, I might have lasted a bit longer.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. You just said there was a way, so screw you.
Well, apparently this might just be BS, but I'll actually see if it actually is a thing. Because it's like you have to hold this button down and push this button at the graphic. Like what? It's like and just push it once, because then it actually changes the setting. I'm like, so it's just an invisible setting.
Yeah.
Like okay,
that's fair.
Take your word for it.
Okay, so this week I have a game for us to play. We're both going to play it going into it fresh. It's a game called The Outer Wilds.
Yes.
When I first heard about this game, I thought it was a cheap ripoff of The Outer Worlds to try to like get people to play it, even though it's not the same game. Like maybe they'll get confused.
People got confused.
So many people got confused. Yeah. But so you know about this game?
Yes, I do.
So for the people that don't, in the game, from Wikipedia, the player character finds themselves on a planet with only 22 minutes before the local sun goes supernova and kills them. So you're going to continually do this 22-minute cycle to try to help alter the outcome, which I really enjoy the premise. I thought the music in the trailer was great, and I'm very looking forward to playing it on the PlayStation 4, which is where we're going to play it. So
cool.
That will be the game that we'll both play and come back to next week. Excellent. Yeah, and I really dig this game. I almost gave you a different game to fit with the theme of player choice, but
that'd have been cool.
I'm gonna save it.
No, I like that. I like that
because I had just came across this game, and I'm like, nope, gotta play it.
That's a good call. I think, that's a really good call. I think I actually have a game for both of us to play next week as well. So
sweet. All right, well. That's everything we have. Thank you guys so much for listening in.
Yes, thank you.
We got 40 downloads. Only 15 of them were my wife. So,
thanks, Emily.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thank you all for coming out. You could find me on social media, of course, is Zabadabadoo, and you could find Nathan as
Early Bird Nerd, and that's all the social medias.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you could email us at contact@backlogendbeyond.com or please email us or tweet us and tell us about your favorite games where the choices matter or where you felt like your character had a say, or if you think story-based games are your thing or whether or not,
or if you actually thought Mad Max was good.
No, I don't think we'll get any. In fact, I think it'll deter people.
We'll just lose downloads next week somehow. There'll be negative downloads.
People threw away their device, unsubscribed to Spotify.
They just deleted the actual app just so they wouldn't be tempted to re-download.
I'm not listening to any music anymore.
I don't even want to accidentally listen to the show ever again.
Anyway, thank you all.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh.